only candidates debate in Toronto-Danforth, which is, I think, really a shame, that it's the only one. I read an article today in the National Post actually talking about how, or rather suggesting that candidates' debates were somehow no longer relevant. How many of you believe that? This is the point that you participate. Do any of you believe that candidates' debates are not relevant? Okay, so unanimously you think they are? I'll take that. You're a shy group? Okay. You know, there's good news and bad news. We've got a small but enthusiastic group tonight, which gives you the opportunity to really fire away at your questions and make this the most difficult hour that these candidates have had during their 36-day campaigns. What I'd like to do first, though, is to extend my, and I assume your appreciation to Reverend Edith Van Chance of the Don Mills United Church, who has graciously made this space available to us this evening. You'll join me in thanking her. And before I introduce the candidates, I'd like to introduce tonight's participants. This is actually a completely grassroots, community-oriented evening. All of us live here. I live in Toronto-Danforth, and what I've done tonight, and what we've done, is actually invited members of the community to act as moderators. And Toronto-Danforth is an extremely large riding, and municipally, as you know, we just had a municipal election as well. It actually would be wards 29 and ward 30. And so who we have here tonight as moderators are actually municipal candidates from Ward 29 and Ward 30. In no particular order, I'll start over here with Liz West, who actually has an amazingly interesting biography in television and media.
I told everybody this is what you do when you lose the municipal election.
So we are the beneficiaries. No, she didn't win. She didn't lose though, okay? So we are the beneficiary of that tonight. So thank you very much, Liz, for taking the night off to participate. Another amazing candidate in the municipal elections, Jennifer Wood, ran in Ward 29. By the way, how many of you know these people? They knocked on your door at some time during the campaign. Yeah, absolutely. And they are still at it, making, I'd say, a major contribution to the community. They will be your moderators tonight in the sense that the questions, we encourage you to put together questions on the cards. They will be coming directly, though, from either Liz or from Jennifer. But we also have a future generation of candidates with us tonight to help with that, and I'd like to introduce Jennifer Wood's children, John and Mary. This is where you stand up, by the way. And what they're going to be doing is, if you've got a question that you want answered, you're going to raise your hand, and one of these future candidates will come on over and grab that question, and we'll get itself distributed up here, okay, to one of our two moderators. And now is the moment where we talk about the candidates. As you know, there are 5 candidates in Toronto-Danforth, or maybe you don't know, but there are 5 candidates. I wish to make it clear that each of the 5 candidates was not only invited, but very much encouraged to attend tonight. Rather than mention the ones who did not accept our invitation, accentuating the positive, as the old song says, I'll begin from left to right, for no other reason, it's purely arbitrary. Andrew Lane, and I'm not going to mention their party affiliations, they can if they want, because this is a candidates debate, and candidates are in fact different from parties. Andrew Lane. Marie Crawford, and Adriana Mugnatto-Hamu. Did I do that? Okay. Let's give them a warm welcome. Without further ado, Jennifer, the first question, actually, sorry. I got to remind myself what I'm doing. Here's the format. We're going to have opening statements. And these are not like legal opening statements like a court of law. you're restricted to, it said 3 minutes, but we're going to make it 2. Okay? 2. Oh, better yet, he has 1. What I was going to say was George Bernard Shaw, the great playwright, once wrote a letter to somebody apologizing for such a long letter, saying he hadn't had time to do a short one. The shorter the better. So we'll start off with the opening statements, then each of the candidates will have a chance to answer each of the questions, taking no more than 2 minutes. I'll be the bad guy on the 2-minute thing. And then when we get to the end, I've actually given them, instead of a closing statement, a question to answer in no more than 1 minute. And that is specifically what they would like for you to remember about them as a candidate. What we will do, I suppose, is customary in these sorts of things. I'm not sure if there's any real reason for this. The endings will be in reverse order from the beginnings. I think what I'm going to do, somebody's going to have to remind me, okay, what the ordering was. I think I'm going to pick. Marie, can you kick it off?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Marie Crawford.
Thank you. My name is Marie Crawford. I'm a Toronto-Danforth resident for the past 17 years. I've owned and operated a business in the neighborhood. I ran in the last federal election in 2008. I represent a small party, a new party. We work for essentially animal protection and the environment, but what we're mostly in support of and encouraging every voter to do and consider is to vote for a person who you believe holds good moral values and ethics in their heart, so that every decision that they make, if they get into Parliament, translates into the best opportunity in Canada for you. So we actually encourage not voting for a party, trying to get the idea of not voting against a party so another party doesn't get in, but to actually question every canvasser that comes to your door, how they feed their families, how they heat their home, how they would help a person in need, and how they think animals are used and should be used in our society from a humane standpoint. Because if that person holds those good moral values, it will translate in every action that they do. So that is actually our party, which I'm going to name, which is Animal Alliance Environment Voters, just so you can find us on the ballot. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adriana Mugnatto-Hamu, and I'm your candidate in Toronto-Danforth for the Green Party of Canada. This is my home riding. And I'm a lot like you. Like many of you, I'm an immigrant. I came to Canada when I was 4 years old. My mother brought us here shortly after my father died to find a better life for us. And I love Canada for the opportunities that it offers. And like you, I probably never thought you'd run for Parliament, and I certainly never did. What brought me into politics was a long-standing interest in science and a recognition that the science was starting to get very scary and that public policy was not meeting it. And that happened about 5 years ago. And right now, I think we're at a crisis point where the challenges we face, this is no longer an environmental issue. This is an issue of international security. It's an issue of the economy. It's an issue of our health. It's an issue of intergenerational and global justice. I didn't join the Green Party to save a forest. I joined the Green Party because I'm concerned about the future of humanity. And so this led to an obsessive period over the last 5 years where I shifted from obsessing about my family to obsessing about these issues. And I've been working on a lot of community initiatives to better those things. I've been working with a lot of nonpartisan groups all over this community and throughout Toronto, working on these issues. And lately I've been going canvassing door to door to meet all of you. I really want to be a good politician. That means that I have to go beyond those issues and represent all of your interests in Parliament. So I have gone door to door, I have listened to people, and I do want to represent your needs and to always be available for you and to be the kind of parliamentarian that brings these issues to Parliament and communicates them back to you about what's going on so that you understand and that we have a good communication going back and forth. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Lang, and I'm here tonight. This is my second time running. I ran in 2008. And I chose to run in 2008 for 3 reasons. And it can be summed up in childcare, the Kyoto Accord, and the Kelowna Accord for Native Canadians. I moved into this riding in 2005 and I found out that our MP voted down the Martin government just as these 3 things were going to be put into place. And those are principles that he was supposed to hold dear. And for political expediency, he voted them down. And we had a need for a candidate, and I jumped to it because I wanted to get rid of a guy that would put his political ambitions ahead of principles and things as valuable as that. And so I spent 2008, I was knocking on doors, meeting all the residents I could. I lived at the time in Leslieville, in the south end of the riding, about a block away from Marie, and about 2 blocks away from Adriana. And just recently moved up to East York, just about 2 blocks away from here. So in the time that I've been around, I love this riding from top to bottom. And it's gone beyond just those 3 issues. I want to make sure that this riding prospers and that the people here have a real representative, somebody that they can count on to do what's right for them in every facet, and not just use it as a staging ground for his political ambitions. And so I'm here to ask for your support. We need change. We need change locally, and we need change in Ottawa. And it's the same thing. If you vote Liberal, you are getting rid of Stephen Harper. It's one thing you have to do, and if you do it, we can change Canada. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start off with a question given to us by Doug Wright. And the question is, what is your policy or your party's policy in regards to nuclear power? And maybe we'll start from right to left for the first question.
Our policy is that nuclear is going to be a part of the energy mix in Canada, in some provinces. And it's a provincial issue. One thing the federal government can weigh in on is the safety factor. And that's something that has gone through the cracks with the Conservative government. Especially with what's gone on with the anniversary of Chernobyl and what's going on in Japan. More than ever, we need to make sure that our nuclear plants are safe. And we need to investigate further what to do with the waste. There are still some gray areas there, and I'm going to encourage that we really start to delve into that in a serious way. But a good mix of nuclear with renewable energy is what the future holds for Canada. And that's what the Liberal Party believes in. Thanks.
Well, I believe that nuclear energy is a short-term gain for long-term pain, notwithstanding the fact of how we're supposed to dispose with radioactive waste that's been building up over the years. The shift away, again, is very much like how our governments are looking at a lot of policies right now. Let's do it this way and eventually we'll figure out alternative energy and we might get there one day, but right now we need all this electricity and we really need to scale back a lot of what we're doing. We've gotten very comfortable with the sources of energy that we have, but we know very well that we do not need all of it all the time. We can make a few sacrifices while we're looking for the alternative means. But a responsible government would be heavily investing in alternative energy to get away from something that looks great on the outside, but we all know that there's huge environmental and possibly human and other animal immediate effects if something should go wrong down the road. So we would be in support of alternative energy.
Thanks, Doug, for that question. We actually did answer a question on nuclear and Goldhawk, and I was kind of disappointed because what happened was it sounded like I was confused. But in reality, part of the problem was that energy is in fact a deeply provincial issue. So we can't, there's limits on what we can do federally about it. But there's one particular role that the federal government plays in nuclear power, and it's very prime, and that is that it guarantees the insurance subsidy on nuclear power plants. And that's huge. When you consider what's happening in Japan now, that's sinking that government into deep debt because no government in the world actually saves money in the case of a nuclear accident, but they're responsible for paying for that. And if that weren't in place, no nuclear plant would be built because they are just simply far too expensive. The Green Party would eliminate all subsidies to nuclear, including the insurance subsidy, and that would mean that we would get safe energy, which is insured, like all other energy is, and all energy should be insured, and we shouldn't be bearing the risks as the public. Thank you.
Thanks. I got a question from Norman Vito. We'll start with Adriana.